Today, we're going to be ranking every single troop in merge tactics. Now starting off in the F tier, I have the Royal Ghost as the worst troop in the entire game. Now in its prime, it was absolutely unstoppable, but right now, it just feels so lackluster for its elixir cost. It takes way too long to go invisible, and it really just doesn't provide any value on the battlefield. It also has probably the worst trait in the game, Undead, and Undead really doesn't do anything. And Assassin just isn't as great as it used to be. It's still okay, but you just rather use the Bandit or the Golden Knight ahead of the Royal Ghost. Now coming in at another F tier, we have the Mini P.E.K.K.A. Now the Mini P.E.K.K.A.'s trait did get a buff pretty recently, but it doesn't really do much to bring it up into, the higher tiers. It just dies way too fast. It feels like it swings so slow, like it doesn't have gravity in itself. It just needs, honestly, a health buff because it dies way too fast, and I feel like a goblin could easily solo the Mini P.E.K.K.A., which shouldn't be the case. Coming in at the final F tier, we have the Skeleton Dragons. Now the Skeleton Dragons did get a buff kind of maybe a month ago where it does a little more damage, but honestly you really don't feel it because it splits way too slow. It takes damage while splitting, which kind of doesn't make sense. And also when it splits, it takes way too long, and in the process when it splits, it's kind of dying. So you're basically getting less DPS when you're using the Skeleton Dragons. And there's so many better rangers out there, and it also has the Undead trait, which just isn't great. Now we're going to start with the C tier, which is the Witch. Now the Witch did get a buff pretty recently, but it's just so awful right now. The skeleton nerf, where it went from 50% to 20%, pretty much kind of killed the card, where it also just doesn't do enough damage, and it really just dies pretty fast on the battlefield. The Superstar trait, honestly, isn't as great as it used to be, and it also has the Undead trait, which doesn't really help out its case. Also coming in the C tier, we have the Musketeer. The Musketeer is still a pretty reliable card, but it did get nerfed pretty hard, where it takes more shots to stun the opponent, where as before you kind of would just have infinite shots with the Superstar trait, but really you just no longer see many Musketeers out in the battlefield anymore. Its DPS is okay, but that's really not the main thing you would use the Musketeer for. You want that stun, and you're seeing less stun on the battlefield. Also in the C tier, we have the Goblin Machine. Now, when they removed the stun from its rockets, that pretty much brought the card from maybe the S tier all the way to the C tier. The stun was probably the best thing for it. The only thing maybe saving itself for it is the Goblin trait, and also with the Brutalist trait. Its damage from the rockets just doesn't really feel like it did enough to compensate for the stun nerf. Also coming in the C tier, I have the Goblins, just the normal stab Goblins. Now really the only thing you're using the Goblins for is the Goblin trait. You're not really pairing it with the Assassin trait if you're wanting to. Maybe it's like a third best option for the Assassin trait, but really you're just kind of using it to get Goblins. It's cheap, it's reliable, but that's really it. That's all you're using it for. Also in the C tier, I put the Bandit. Now the Bandit actually got a pretty good buff recently, where it does more damage, or either it dashes even more with less hits. But yeah, I've definitely noticed a lot more Bandit in the meta, and now it just kind of feels like, of a C tier troop. It probably was in the F tier before its buff, but it definitely feels a lot better out there. And probably wrapping up the C tier, I have the Spear Goblin. Now the Spear Goblin, I'd say, is a little more reliable than the normal Stab Goblin. Its range, and it also has a pretty good trait with it, with the, I believe it's Blaster. Yep, the Blaster trait. And pretty much you're kind of using this Spear Goblin as like a secondary economy build when you're using Clan or that 6-star trait. Now we're going to go into the B tier, and starting off with the B tier, I have the Skeleton King. Now the Skeleton King does have the Undead trait, which kind of sucks for it. It's with the Brutalist trait, which is an okay build around it, but it's just a little too expensive. It doesn't bring it to the S tier, but really its health does save it. Also the skeletons it gets from it is pretty good, so I'd say it's pretty fair and an average unit on the field. Coming in on the B tier, we have the Prince. Now the Prince is a pretty good troop this season for sure. It is paired with Brawler, which is probably arguably the top 3 comp in this season for sure. But Noble is just okay with it, but it's definitely a pretty good unit on the field out there. I can't say it's the best Brawler trait out there, but it definitely pairs well with a lot of synergies out in the game. Also coming in the B tier, we have the P.E.K.K.A. P.E.K.K.A. definitely feels a lot better this season as compared to before. It's paired with Brawler, which is pretty good. The P.E.K.K.A. trait actually does feel a lot more useful. With the mini P.E.K.K.A., you really don't get value with it. With the P.E.K.K.A., you actually feel like you're doing something with it, where it kind of heals a lot more health with it for sure. So yeah, that's why I'm putting P.E.K.K.A. in the B. Also in the B tier, I'm going to go with Golden Knight. Golden Knight got a pretty recent buff where it attacks a lot faster, and you're seeing a lot more dashes out there. I could be underrating it for sure in the B tier, but for now, I'm just going to stick into the B tier, where the Noble trait actually is pretty good with it. The Assassin trait definitely got a few buffs recently, so that's why it's also sitting out there. I would definitely say it was in the C tier before its buff, so I'm going to leave it in the B tier for now. It could definitely be argued to be in the A. Also in the B tier, I'm going to put the Dart Goblin. Now, the Dart Goblin was probably the best unit maybe 2 months ago with the amount of Rangers and Juggernauts out there. It definitely dialed down a lot more because there's just so much stun going on in the game, and the Monk is pretty much a direct counter to the Dart Goblin. But if you can get rid of that Monk and pair it with the Ranger and hopefully enough tanks out there, the Dart Goblin is just a DPS machine. That thing could deal a lot of damage, but really its traits are kind of laying it down. Ranger just isn't as great this season, and also the Goblin trait just really doesn't do anything for it. Also coming in the B tier, and probably the final B tier unit, I went with the Barbarian. Now, maybe before the Clan nerf, I would definitely say it was an A tier troop, but Clan definitely got toned down a lot more. But it's used in Brawler, which is one of the best comps in the game, and with Clan getting a nerf, you will see the Barbarian also kind of go down the pecking order. But it's still a reliable troop, still a good 2 elixir troop, has Clan and Brawler, which is still pretty much a top 5 unit in the game, I would say, or a top 5 comp in the game. Now coming into the A tier, at the bottom of the A tier, I'm going to go with Valkyrie. Valkyrie has Clan, which did get nerfed. It does have Brutalist, which I think is definitely an underrated trait with the Valkyrie. But Valkyrie is just so reliable. It's tanky. It's only 3 elixir. It's pretty cheap. It's a very sought out unit on the battlefield for sure. But yeah, Valkyrie is just so reliable. It's pretty much always been an A tier troop every single season. Coming in also in the A tier, I have Wizard. Now, probably, I think October or November, I could have said the Wizard was definitely an F tier troop. This season, it's so much better. It did get a nerf with Clan where it no longer attacks faster after, I believe, actually it was infinite, so it only attacks fast for 5 seconds, but it's still paired up with that 6 trait combo, and also with Clan. Clan's still pretty decent. Definitely not a top 3 comp in the game, but for sure top 5. But yeah, Wizard, it's still absolutely a beast this season. Also coming in the A tier, I went with E-Giant. E-Giant's so good this season. Paired with Superstar, it feels almost unstoppable to kill it. Its stun is probably, I would say, a top 3 stun in the game for sure. Maybe even top 1. You know, paired with Monk and the Superstar trait, its stun can keep growing onto the radius on the battlefield, and it's pretty much a perma stun onto the battlefield where not even your Mega Knight could jump on it. Your Queen can't go invis on it. Yeah, E-Giant is so good this season. Also coming in the A tier, I went with Royal Giant. Royal Giant, for 2 elixir, you're getting so much value out of it. You're getting a tanky giant. You're getting a 2 elixir unit. It's so cheap to upgrade it to a 3-star. It has the Ranger. Yeah, the Ranger and the... and the Giant trait. So you're pretty much increasing the health on the Royal Giant. So yeah, Royal Giant is absolutely a unit out there on the battlefield. Also coming in the A tier, I went with the Princess. Princess is so reliable this season. It's paired with the, I believe it is, the Brawler synergy, where you just kind of place the Princess in the back and let the Brawler units tank for it, and it's just absolutely sniping all the back units. It just does way too much damage with the Blaster trait, and it just feels unkillable. And if you don't have anything to take care of it, just say goodbye to your backline units. And wrapping up with the A tier, I went with the Mega Knight. The Mega Knight is so reliable. It has such good 2 traits in the game right now, which is Ace and Brawler. It's paired with Brawler, which is probably a top 1 comp in the game, maybe top 2 behind the 6 trait comp. But it has probably the best stun in the game right now. It's so reliable. Paired with Ace, it just doesn't die. And yeah, it just keeps jumping on every single unit out there. Now the S tier is saved for the 3 best troops in the entire game. And coming in at number 3, we have the Executioner. Executioner has pretty much been that reliable unit out there. It does so much damage. It's so tanky. It's only 3 elixir. It's paired with probably every single comp out there in the game. It's just that one troop that's honestly scary to face. If it has Ace, it's so scary to go against. It just does way too much damage, and it's way too tanky out there. So yeah, Executioner definitely needs a nerf. Probably a lot more nerfs than its small damage nerf. Coming at number 2, I went with the Archer Queen. Now the Archer Queen probably does get directly countered by the number 1 unit, but Archer Queen is so reliable out there. It does way too much damage. And paired with the Ranger troop, it's kind of scary seeing it fully charged, where it's just a sniping machine attacking so fast and also healing itself, and bonus damage when it goes invisible. Yes, it's a 5 elixir and it's kind of expensive, but if you can get it to 3-star, it's actually probably the most scariest unit to see out there in the game. But honestly, the number 1 undisputed unit out there, it's 100% the Monk. The Monk, pretty much, if you have a 3-star Monk, you've won the game. The only counter to it is probably Brutalist, but even Brutalist can't really go up against the Monk sometimes. Now, when you have a 3-star Monk, it just constantly heals itself, like it's just not dying. But yeah, Monk needs a nerf. I'm surprised it pretty much escaped a nerf in the last set of balance changes. But yeah, Monk is your number 1 undisputed troop out there on the battlefield. I hope you all enjoyed this video today. Please consider liking and subscribing. That really does help out. And I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.